Hello everyone, welcome to Math 120 Video Practice, Introduction to Counting, the Fundamental Counting Principle. As we proceed through the video, I suggest that you stop and pause, attempt the problem, then play the video to compare your answer to mine. So oftentimes I'll say pause, indicating you should be trying the problem, trying to come up with the answer. Counting is the number of different ways a particular task can be completed. For example, the number of different ways I can select a salad when I can choose from 5 different salads is, pause, 5. You have 5 different salads. The number of different ways I can select a prize winner when I can choose from 102 different entries is, pause, 102. C. The number of different ways I can select a salad when I can choose from 5 identical salads is, pause the video, only one way, because counting is the number of different ways a particular task can be completed. Well, the salads are all identical, so there's only one way. That is, ask yourself, what is the difference between A and C? That difference is counting counts the number of different ways a task can be completed. So if the salads are identical, then we would not distinguish between selecting one from another. That is, we cannot, quote, tell the difference. Now consider selecting 2 items. For example, consider the number of different ways I can select a salad from 3 different salads and select a dessert from 2 different desserts. You may want to pause the video and try to answer this yourself. Now think about what I would need to do. I need to select a salad. So maybe my choices are a Caesar, a spinach, a green salad. But once I select my salad, I still have to pick my dessert, and maybe my dessert is between a pie and a cake. If I went for Caesar, I could go for the pie or the cake. If I went with the spinach, I could go with the pie or the cake. If I went with the green, the pie or the cake could be my choices. Well, there are 3 choices for the salad, but for each of those 3 choices, I have 2 choices for dessert. So that leaves me with 6 possible choices, right? The 2 from here, 2 here, and 2 here. So based upon how many choices I have here determines how many times the 2 shows up, right? So 3 times 2 is 6. There are 6 possible ways to choose my dessert. The previous example illustrates what is called the fundamental counting principle. If a task consists of performing several different steps, then the number of ways that task can be completed is the product of the number of ways each step can be completed. So what you do is you break down the task into independent steps and you look at each step as a separate counting problem. I had to pick a salad. I had to pick a dessert. Then you multiply the numbers together in order to get the number of ways the task can be completed in general. Okay? This is an example of the fundamental counting principle. So for example, suppose you need to select a schedule which will consist of 1 math class, 1 English class, 1 history class, and 1 elective. Suppose you can choose from 3 math, 4 English, 2 history, and 5 electives. Then the number of ways this can be done is, Well, my task is to come up with a schedule, right? That task consists of picking a math, an English, and a history, and one elective, right? Well, the big task is to come up with a schedule. Left that out. This is unedited, so I left that. So it should say schedule right here, all right? This task can be broken down into the following steps. Pick a math class, select an English class, select a history, select an elective. So focus on each of these steps as individual counting problems. That's what we're going to do in the next slide. So here's the same problem. I suggest maybe pausing the video, seeing if you come up with the answer, then play the video. Well, here's the answer. The task of making up a schedule consists of the following steps. You need a math class, an English, a history, and an elective. Each step can be completed in the following number of ways. How many ways can you pick your math class? 3. Your English class? 4. Your history class? 2. Your elective? 5. So by the counting principle, the number of ways is given by 3 times 4 times 2 times 5, 120 different possible schedules. Okay, pause the video. I want you to read the problem. I'm not going to read the problem. Pause it, read it, either play the video or try the problem. Here's the answer. We need to find a number of ways of combining one level for each of the growth factors. So how many ways are there? Our task consists of completing the following steps. We need to select the lighting level, the age level, the temperature level, and the humidity level. Each step can be completed in the following number of ways. Well, there are 4 ways to choose lighting, 4 ways to choose age, 5 ways to choose the temperature, and 3 ways to choose the humidity. So by the counting principle, the number of ways is given by the product. 4 times 4 times 5 times 3 is equal to 240. Once again, read the problem, try working it out. I'm about to start working it out. So, how many lunch specials are possible? The task of making up your lunch will consist of the following steps. You need to select a sandwich, select a drink, select a dessert. Each step can be completed in the following number of ways. For a sandwich, there are 5 choices. For a drink, there are 4 choices. For dessert, there are 5 choices. So by the counting principle, the number of ways we can complete our task of coming up with a lunch special is given by the product of these numbers, which is 100. Now note, we are working with the assumption that the sandwiches, the drinks, the desserts are all different. Okay? All right. All right. So, I mean, it should be obvious here because we are picking from a menu. I don't think they're going to list the same drink twice or the same dessert twice. Okay? But you do have to be aware of that. Sometimes if things are the same, then you have to be careful. I'll mention that at the end. Once again, you should read over the problem, pause the video, try it. I'm about to get started. So we need to make up the employee ID codes. So what do we need to do? The task of making up an ID consists of the following. We need to select the first letter, the second letter, the third letter, and then a digit. Each step can be completed in the following number of ways. Well, I can select the first letter by choosing from the 26. The second letter, I have 26 choices. The third letter, 26 choices. Then finally the digit, which has 10 choices, 0 through 9, correct? Now, I want to point something out here, and I'm going to point it out after I give you the answer. So by the counting principle, the number of ways is given by the product of these four numbers, 175,760. Okay? Now, notice in this particular problem, the letters can be repeated. So notice the 26 stay the same. Oftentimes when you have IDs, passwords, things can't be repeated. So I would just tell you that if I could not repeat a letter, what would happen here is the 26 would start going down, 26, 25, 24. So this concept of what they call repetition is very important to recognize in counting. Moving on. So in summary, for a counting problem in general, we should identify the individual steps needed to be taken in order to complete the task. The individual steps: choosing the salad, choosing the drink, picking the first letter, the second letter, the third letter, picking the digit. For each step, determine the number of ways that step can be completed. From the fundamental counting principle, we multiply the number of ways each step can be completed, the product being the number of ways the task can be completed. Now, I would like to note, this is the basic underlying concept of counting, the fundamental counting principle. Counting can become very complex. For example, it may be possible to select an item over again, repetition, just like in the previous problem. You have to keep that in mind. Sometimes your numbers go down as you pick them, if you're picking from the same, quote, list. When an item is selected in the process, it may make a difference when it was selected. This is called order. We'll be talking about permutations, combinations. There may be identical choices that can be made when selecting. Some of these cases will be considered in future videos, but these three things listed above need to be taken into consideration when counting. So this concludes this video, the end. Here's my email address. If you find something maybe wrong, just let me know. Okay? I think I calculated everything correctly, but I'm not editing my videos. Okay? So when I make a mistake, you typically see it. And hopefully I correct it. All right? Thank you very much.